You know, I feel rather scared of you at close quarters.
That promises to be very embarrassing.
Well, you're somehow different now. Wilder than I thought you were. More strained.
Wilder? Oh, Victor, I've never felt less wild in my life. A little strained, I grant you. Honeymooning is a very overrated amusement.
You say that because you had a ghastly experience before.
There you go again.
Well, it couldn't fail to embitter you a little.
The honeymoon wasn't such a ghastly experience, really. It was afterwards that was so awful.
I intend to make you forget it all entirely.
You won't succeed by making constant references to it.
I wish I knew you better.
It's just as well you don't. The woman, in italics, should always retain a certain amount of alluring feminine mystery for the man, also in italics.
What about the man? Isn't he allowed to have any mystery?
Absolutely none, transparent as glass.
Oh, I see.
Never mind, darling. It doesn't necessarily work out like that. It's only supposed to.
Glad I'm normal.
What an odd thing to be glad about. Why?
Well, aren't you?
I'm not so sure I'm normal.
Oh, Mandy, of course you are. Sweetly, divinely normal.
I haven't any peculiar craving for Chinamen or old boots, if that's what you mean.
Mandy.
I think very few people are completely normal, really, deep down in their private lives. That was the problem with Elliot and me. We were like two violent acids bubbling about in a nasty little matrimonial bottle.
I don't believe you're nearly as complex as you think you are.
I don't think I'm particularly complex, but I know I'm unreliable.
You're frightening me horribly. In what way unreliable?
I'm so apt to see things the wrong way around.
What sort of things?
Morals. What one should do and what one shouldn't.
Oh, darling, you're so sweet.
Thank you, Victor. That's most encouraging. You really must have your bath now. Come along.
Kiss me.
There, dear. Hurry now. I've only got to slip my dress on and then I shall be ready.
Give me 10 minutes.
I'll bring the cocktails out here when they come.
All right.
I'm glad we let Louise go. I'm afraid she's going to have a cold.
Going to have a cold. She's been grunting and snorting all the evening like a whole herd of bison.
Bison never sounds right to me somehow. I have a feeling it ought to be bisons, a flock of bisons.
You might even say a covey of bisons, or a school of bisons.
Yes, lovely. The Royal London School of Bisons. Do you think Louise is happy at home?
No, profoundly miserable.
Family beastly to her.
Absolutely vile. Knock her about dreadfully, I expect. Make her eat the most disgusting food and pull her fringe.
Oh, poor Louise.
Well, you know what the French are.
Oh, yes, indeed. I know the Hungarians are, too.
What are they?
Very wistful. All those pretzels, I shouldn't wonder.
And the Pustza. I always felt the Pustza was far too big. Danube or no Danube.
Have you ever crossed the Sahara on a camel?
Frequently. When I was a boy, we used to do it all the time. My grandmother had a lovely seat on a camel.
There's no doubt about it. Foreign travel is the thing.
Would you like some brandy?
Just a little.
I'm glad we didn't go out tonight.
Or last night.
Or the night before.
There's no reason to, really, when we're cozy here.
Exactly.
It's nice, isn't it?
Strangely peaceful. It's an awfully bad reflection on our characters. We ought to be absolutely tortured with conscience.
We are, every now and then.
Not nearly enough.
We sent Victor and Sybil a nice note from wherever it was. What more can they want?
You're even more ruthless than I am.
I don't believe in crying over my bridge before I've eaten it.
Very sensible.
Personally, I feel grateful for a miraculous escape. I now know that I should have never been happy with Victor. I was a fool even to consider it.
Well, you did a little more than consider it.
Well, you can't talk.
I wonder whether they met each other, or whether they've been suffering alone.
Oh dear, don't let's go on about it. It really does make one feel rather awful.
I suppose one or other or both of them will turn up here eventually.
Bound to. It won't be very nice, will it?
Perfectly horrible.
Do you realize that we're living in sin?
Oh, not according to the Catholics. Catholics don't recognize divorce. We're married as much as ever we were.
Yes, dear, but we're not Catholics.
Oh, never mind. It's nice to think they'd sort of back us up. We were married in the eyes of heaven, and we still are.
We may be all right in the eyes of heaven, but we look like being in a hell of a mess socially.
Who cares?
Are we going to marry again after Victor and Sybil divorce us?
I suppose so. What do you think?
I feel rather scared of marriage, really.
It is a frowsy business.
I believe it was just the fact of our being married and clamped together publicly that wrecked us before.
That, and not knowing how to manage each other.
Do you think we know how to manage each other now?
Well, this week's been very successful. We've hardly used Solomon Isaacs at all.
Solomon Isaacs is so long. Let's shorten it to Sulks.
All right.